To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. Okay, so we're back at the tiny house again today. I tell you, the longer we're in there, the more cluttered everything is getting, as hard as we're trying not to clutter things up. We got our Coleman cook stove out here. We're still have it stacked on top of pallets. I got a piece of tin under it, just temporarily until we get the actual stove that we want to get. So kind of piecemealing this together, it just seems like everything's so cluttered. You know, we got our wood pile out here. I need to get a box that I can put our wood into. Carolyn is building shelves, so she's got her 2x6s here. But we're actually doing pretty good inside. We're really working hard on the inside not to have it all cluttered up. Today we had to go grocery shopping, and every time I go grocery shopping, it's about once a month we go grocery shopping, I always talk to you about how we handle that being off-grid. We try to go grocery shopping early in the morning. That way when we get our meat, it's not frozen. We're gonna have to freeze it. We come back, we get it all bagged, the meat bagged up, we put it in the freezer, and then we turn the freezer all the way up to its maximum temperature. We let it run all day long with the sun powering the refrigerator. If we were to go at nighttime, then we'd have to turn the refrigerator on and it would kick on and off all night long, just like it normally does. And it'd be off batteries. And you wouldn't have enough battery power to run the fridge that much during the night. So by the time you got up in the morning, your batteries would be dead. Which leads me into a comment that I received today. It said, there is no way I could live like you do. It's a miserable existence. Who would want to do it? Now, I am certain it was a troll, and I'm not trying to acknowledge the trolls. The reason I'm certain it's a troll, why would anybody be watching an off-grid channel, Little House Off-Grid, to find out if they want to live off-grid or not, and then comment when they find out they don't? It doesn't make any sense. It's just someone was trying to be mean. So, but it does bring up a good point. Why would anybody want to live off-grid in a tiny house? And there's just so much to this. For example, tiny house. We have limited wood this year because we have to have dry wood. We have to have wood. It's under 20%. I'm not going to get into that whole conversation again, but we got to have dry wood. So we don't have a lot. We've got like 8 cords total, but none of it's usable. We have to nibble the amount of firewood that we have. This right here, a stack like this right here, will last us about 2.5 days in this little fireplace that we got. Now, if we were living in a bigger house, that stack may only last maybe a day. If you're using an old-fashioned wood stove, of course, that would only last a couple hours, I know, because we did it down here when we was staying in the camper. A lot of people are going to say, well, you're doing it because you're an environmentalist. Well, that's not true. I'm doing it because I want to just reduce my expenses in life and my stresses and all the things that just make you miserable living in the real world. I don't have it here. I have very few things that make me miserable. Well, I don't know if I have anything. As a matter of fact, today I'm not feeling good. I think I have a allergy or sinus infection or something. I'm sure somebody's gonna say, oh my goodness, you need to go to the hospital, you got the contagion. I don't have the contagion. I don't feel that bad. It's just congestion up here. And so I'm not feeling all that good. Sitting here thinking, oh, you know, if I was going to work, I'd have to be worried about getting somebody sick and, you know, they're gonna want me to go and get vaccinated and all these things. But here I don't have to do anything. I can just stay in the truck when Carolyn went shopping. I can stay here in the house. I'm totally fine. I don't have the stresses that everybody else has. I don't have to interact with anybody. Now, I recognize there are a lot of people who want that interaction. But when you don't want that interaction, you don't have to have it. I don't remember all the specifics, but several months ago, I read an article that said back in the, I don't know, let's just call it the 50s, that each person in a house only had, let's say, 200 square feet of living space per person in the house. So if you had 4 people, that would be 800 square feet house. Now it's up to like 500 square feet per person. I mean, again, don't quote me on the numbers. So as time has went by, people have had higher expectations of square footage they need to live in a house. And now we have laws that specifically say that you have to have a certain square foot house. We're forcing people to build things they can't afford and to heat things they can't afford. We're forcing them. We somehow have decided that this is the norm. You have to have, a 5,000 square foot home, a 2,000 square foot home, a huge home, in order just to have a home. When I was young, you have this big house, and then in the wintertime, you'd have to block off rooms. You wouldn't be able to go in the living room, and that's closed for the winter. So, but I don't have that problem. 200 square feet. So what I'm saying is two people living in a 200 square foot house, 100 square foot per person, we are actually smaller than what it was back in the 50s, if that example was correct. We're being creative, figuring out how to do things where we minimize space and minimize the amount of water we have to use, minimize the amount of electric we have to use. So today's project is part of that minimization. Carolyn got her sink today. Look at this. You're gonna say, oh my goodness, that's not a minimalization sink. It's a 20-gallon tub sink, laundry room tub sink, utility sink. There's 4 legs, or I think 4 legs that come with it. It's gonna take up a huge amount of space. Well, actually, this isn't gonna take up a lot of space. Its home is gonna be in the shower. So it'll sit in the shower until we need the shower. Now, Carolyn also has another spot on the other wall she's considering using, because we actually have more space available than we actually expected to have. But when we're needing to take a shower, this tub will come out of the shower. So we won't have to have any plumbing in the shower. What we have is an on-demand water heater. You just turn the water on, it heats up the water. You control the temperature with these switches right here. This is the amount of flow, this is the heat. And so you don't have cold water. I mean, you could have cold water, you just turn the temperature all the way down, but that's one faucet. So all your water comes through the shower head. And so what we'll do is we'll fill up the sink using that shower head. And then when we're done, we can just open up the drain. It drains right into the shower and out the house. So that's minimizing space, and we actually get a bigger sink than you do. Now in the summertime, Carolyn has talked about using that sink outside on the porch, which is fine. I mean, all we'd really have to do is just pump water right over to it from the water heater. So I might be able to hook up another hose for summertime use or something and pump it right outside. So let's go ahead and assemble this and learn how to minimize space today. Okay, so you see I have a hammer and a block. So before some commenter tells me, oh, you're not supposed to beat on it, it shows it right here, a hammer and a block. So I got to hammer those down a bit. So as soon as I put it in the shower, Carolyn jumped up and grabbed it and put it by this wall. This is where she was thinking of where the secondary home could be, or maybe primary home. And so what she did was she immediately put a countertop on it, so that way she can do food prep here. Also, I don't know how practical this is. I might have to expand my plumbing idea later. But she said, I can just throw a bucket up underneath this and catch any water, and if she wants to just use water, she could just dump the water right into the sink here. It collects in the bucket, and then later she could just dump the bucket. It's not a bad idea. It sure does give us a lot of flexibility, and I think this is more flexibility than what you would actually get in a house. You can move the sink. How cool is that? As you can see, I've gotten the fire extinguisher and the carbon monoxide detector installed. I got another carbon monoxide detector on the other side of the room. I always say that you need 2 carbon monoxide detectors in case one fails on you for some reason. That way you got a second one. Now I thought something was neat today. Carolyn said, we don't have an oven just yet. We're gonna buy an oven. But Carolyn has always been creative when it's to cooking in the camper. We've not had an oven for 4 years, but she's made pizzas and just all kinds of different things. But today she bought a frozen pizza while we were at the store. And what she's going to do is, she has an old cast iron. Well, it's not old. It's just enamel plated cast iron casserole dish. She's going to cut that pizza in half, put it here on the wood stove. It'll get hot enough that it'll melt the cheese, and she's going to put bacon on it. It's just, this lifestyle really gives you opportunity to create things and be creative like this. I mean, she immediately just jumped up, grabbed a piece of plywood, put the plywood there, put the flooring material there, and now she has a counter space. Just that easy, out of materials we already had available that were scrap. This lifestyle is so simple, and trying to express that. I mean, theirs is work. I mean, you gotta work. I don't want to give you the illusion that there is no work involved. You gotta cut firewood and all the things I mentioned in a video a couple of days ago. But if you're replacing your job with this job, this is a great job. And everything's primitive. Back to basics. I hope I can inspire you to get your dream back to basics. Thanks for watching.